Morning. We're going to get started today by swearing in one of our executive committee members. Our meeting is currently being live streamed, so please remember to turn on your microphone and use the button on the bottom to speak directly into it so that you can be heard by our viewing audience. And we'll ask Regent May to please go down and meet Bree Golden, who's going to administer the oath for the executive committee member. Excellent. Congratulations, Regent May. We're going to take things a little out of order today due to some late arrivals. And we're going to ask Regent May to please call the legislative committee to order first.
I'd like to call the legislative committee to order.
Thank you.
Please call roll.
Regent Temple, Regent Aubrey, Regent May,
Here.
Regent Meyer, Regent Pryor,
Here.
Regent Sterling,
Here.
Regent Gill,
Here.
LCTC representative, LSU representative,
Here.
SU representative, UL system representative. We have a quorum? We have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you. We will now move to item 3, legislative study report update.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here to present the 2023 HealthWorks Commission annual report. This report has been submitted to the legislature as required by law, but we wanted to give an opportunity to touch on some highlights this morning from the report. So to just make you all aware and to remind you that the HealthWorks Commission has legislatively mandated that the Board of Regents oversee the HealthWorks Commission. But underneath the HealthWorks Commission are 2 additional subcommittees or sub-councils that are that each have a role to play in the work that I'm going to present to you today. So the HealthWorks Commission is charged to coordinate resources relative to healthcare workforce development. We have 21 members of this particular commission, as well as 2 ad hoc commission members. Our 2 subgroups are the Nursing Supply and Demand Council, of which the Nursing Supply and Demand Council is required by law to submit a report, a workforce report that I'll share some exciting statistics for you today. And then the third council is the Simulation Medical Training and Education Council of Louisiana. And it's really charged with studying the effective use of simulation technologies in the use of training our healthcare professionals. So today I'll talk briefly about some key findings in the report. We'll talk about the advanced practice nurses. We will talk about registered nurses. We will talk about licensed practical nurses, and then we will talk about nursing aides. And each section is a little bit different in some of the challenges of collecting those data. So for our advanced practice nurses, you'll see you were given a copy of the commission report in your paperwork. The information on this category is on pages 8 through 10. And you'll see that in 22, there were 9,048 APRNs holding an active license in Louisiana. And there was an 8% increase over the previous year. Just so you'll see on the next page that as of September of 2023, there were 505 openings in Louisiana for advanced practice nurse. I want to draw your attention to the row across the top, the table across the top. We've been tracking these data for about 5 years, and I just wanted to provide you with some overall trends. Enrollment is up 5%. The number of graduates is up 18%. But as you can see, we still have that 505 openings as of September of 2023. I also want to provide you with as close to current information as that we have from the 22 report year. Our enrollment numbers were 1,433, and that particular year we had 435 graduates in advanced practice nurse. Our next category is registered nurse on pages 11 through 15 in the commission report. In 2022, there were 65,596 RNs. That was an increase of 465 RNs from the previous year. And all of these RNs are holding an active license in Louisiana. And if you look at our trends in enrollment over the last 5 years, we've got a 13% increase in enrollment. Our graduates are up 27% from over the course of the last 5 years. But I want you to take a look at the number of job openings there. We've got 5, as of September of 2023, I want to characterize these data by the time at which we could pull the data. There were 5,067 job openings. So look down to that 22 report year, and what you're going to see is our enrollment is up. We've got 13,284 in enrollment, and we had 2,390 graduates, but compare that with the number of job openings. We are still not meeting the demand of the need in the healthcare workforce. Our next category is licensed practical nurse. You'll find that information on page 15 through 17 in the report. In 22, 21,722 held a license to be an LPN or licensed practical nurse. That was an increase of 241 LPNs from the previous year. And you'll see our trend data here. It's interesting, Regent Sterling and I were talking about this earlier this morning. Enrollment's up as a trend over the last 5 years, but our number of graduates is down. Now it's 4%. It's a small number, but we've got to get our arms wrapped around this. It could be that we're in a transition year, more enrollments in year one. But it's depending on the program, it's longer than a year program. So we could have seen kind of a down change in the data, but we're going to spend some time looking at this to try to determine why this has happened in licensed practical nursing. As you'll see for the 22 year, 1,593 enrolled in LPN programs in academic year 22-23. We had 993 graduates, but you see there's still a bit of a disconnect between the number of graduates, the number of completers that we have from these programs, and the number of job openings across the state. Nursing aid is a little more complicated, and so we'll talk a little bit about this. The numbers are really high. There are, in the registry, in the nursing aid registry, there are 200,014,728 nursing aides. Some are certified, some are not certified. that there's an increase in that registry of 2,830 from the previous year. So again, more nursing aides are getting registered in the state registry, but I want to switch to the next page because I want to talk a little bit about programs and graduates. We have 301 approved programs. Some are through schools, some are through nursing home-based programs. 301 are approved. In 2022, we had 2,754 graduates. The problem that we have in collecting these data is that nursing aid is not listed on the LA Work Star job ratings because it's not a 4 or 5 star job. And so what we're having, so this piece of information here, that the 1,037 was pulled from Indeed.com. So I look at this with a bit of grain of salt, and really want to talk to my partner, Dr. Denley, about how we might be able to collect these data better, because it's only as good as the data collection that you can use. At the time of the reporting, Indeed.com was the best place that we could pull the job openings. I just wanted, of the 301, 207 of those programs are school-based, 94 are nursing home-based. So this that provides you with a little bit of statistics on from the Nursing Supply and Demand Report. You'll also, if you look in the appendices, if you take a few minutes to look through the report, you're going to see our systems are doing some excellent work to increase the capacity of nursing in all 4 of these categories. So if you call attention to LCTCS, the Southern system, the LSU system, and as well as the UL system, they are all, depending on the programs that they offer, they are doing great work to increase capacity and using dollars funded by the legislature or through the Board of Regents Nurse Capitation Fund to increase the nursing workforce. So the Health Works Commission has met and have come up with some new recommendations over the course of 2024. I'm going to briefly voice over a few of these for you this morning. One of our action items that they would like to advocate for is the funding of additional academic private partnerships to leverage public and private investments to increase the workforce. The authority to fill that item is the legislature. Provide funding supports, grants, scholarships, and tuition reduction programs, the legislature as well as the Board of Regents. They would like for us to reinstate a stipend program that was previously administered by the Board of Regents, which provided a maximum of $40,000 to nurses to help stipends to get them through their programs. That is both the legislature and the Board of Regents to take a look at the practice that was done before and what we might need to do to move forward. It was committed to RNs that if they would commit to teach in Louisiana for at least 1 year after they receive support for each $10,000 they received. So it was $10,000 a year. Standardize and streamlines roles and regulatory requirements for healthcare occupations. This will be handled by the licensing boards. Continue to provide capitation funds, which we currently provide about $3.1 million in nurse capitation funds, and to continue to do this to increase the capacity of RNs as well as LPNs. They are recommending a new recommendation that the Board of Regents research the feasibility of developing a prospective real-time reporting process, a portal, if you will, of openings in nursing programs. So if one particular nursing program at a particular school has open spaces, another program across the state who has a waiting list, we could actually do some type of matching process. And so we're going to talk about the possibility of that moving forward. And then aligning nurse faculty salaries with the median national salary market data. So finally, as part of the report, I wanted to provide you an update with the HERO Fund update. There is a bill that is moving through the legislature right now, House Bill 329, that is recommending to move the Healthcare Employment Reinvestment Opportunity, or the HERO Fund administration, from the Board of Regents to the Louisiana Department of Health, retaining the oversight of the Health Works Commission, the Nursing Supply and Demand Council, and the Simulation Council will remain with the Board of Regents. It will also, we will retain, we have 10 projects, public-private partnerships that we have entered into a 3-year plan with them. All of those will retain, those dollars and those programs, the oversight of those programs, will remain with the Board of Regents until the end of their project. But the remaining dollars will, the plan, if passed and signed by the governor, will move to the Department of Health. And that's it for the Health Works Commission update. I'm happy to answer any questions before I pass it over to Bree Golden, who will provide you with a more in-depth legislative update.
Question?
Regent Sterling?
Yes, thank you for the report and for my colleagues. I think and certainly support the continue to support through our capitation in those funds. But the second chance piece about creating transparency around students who may be denied admissions at one school where we have vacancies potentially at another, just simply adding transparency to that process. It hasn't been clear when we have long tracked this number whether there are duplicates in these numbers, because we don't see what student is in the waiting list. And so just simply creating a portal and transparency so that we can really understand what's happening in students getting into programs. And we know that many of our legislators, probably sometimes many of you get a call to say, my child, my neighbor didn't get in, and what's going on. So I think the feasibility piece of trying to find a way to make that portal visible is very powerful. And the second one, we have to find a way to address faculty salaries. When you simply look at the difference between 500 advanced practice nurse vacancies and more than 5,000, that really is commiserate to salaries. Where an advanced practice nurse is sometimes making upwards to double, sometimes triple, depending on the area of what a bedside nurse may be making. And so our faculty are somewhere in the middle. And so if we want individuals to remain in those faculty positions to be able to produce more nurses, we have to find a way to pay them commiserate salaries, or they're going to find alternative pathways in which to feed their families and to economically be successful. So I know that all of these are important, but I just wanted to specifically comment on those two recommendations that I think are really important. So thank you for that good work.
Thank you. Thank you for those notes.
Great comments, Regent Sterling. Any other questions? Members, this item was informational purposes only. It does not require any action.
Susanna,
I'm sorry.
I did have a question regarding the stipend program. When did we last have it?
Oh,
And
it's been quite some time. I don't have the exact date on, but I'll get that for you.
Do you recall or know why it was suspended?
I'm sure it was to do with financing and budget cuts would be my guess.
And what would be required to reinstate it?
I'll have, this is something for us to research, and we'll have to get that research. We'll have to get that answer for you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good incentive program.
Quick, Do we know the rationale for moving the HEROES funding? Where do we weigh in on that?
So, a couple of conversations regarding that. The author, I believe, was interested in trying to make sure that private industry, is what I was told, private industry or health providers could provide a match. And so they wanted it at the department so it could focus on the healthcare provider side instead of the education provider side. So that's my understanding, not having talked to the author directly. But LDH said they would certainly partner with us. We'll continue to move the work forward.
And I would add, we have a member from LDH who serves on our Health Works Commission, so I think you'll still be working very closely together with the Department of Health. It's just the management of the funds will now be at the Department of Health.
Great, thank you.
Any further questions? So I know that this item was informational purposes only, no action is required.
That's correct. Thank you.
As you know, we have a legislative session going on, and we are deeply involved in a number of bills that are moving through that session. We'll now hear an update on several items we're tracking. Bree, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Regent May. Good morning, everybody, again. There has been a lot that's been going on since I last spoke to you last month. Specifically, there are some new legislative priorities. On April 2nd, there were additional bills introduced into the legislature, and a lot of those were higher education-related bills, so I'm going to go through some of that. As far as our legislative priorities, we have added 3. One of them is HB 862 by Representative Hughes. This deals with tuition and fee authority, and this actually is going to be debated on the House floor today. This bill would allow management boards to establish differential tuition for high-cost undergraduate programs in addition to all professional, graduate, and specialized programs, and it also would allow management boards to increase mandatory fees for programs. Also, they have the option, if they wanted to lower fees and tuition for those differential high-cost programs, they could do that as well. Right now, we're currently working with the bill author to add an amendment that would require institutions to spread a 10% increase over a 2-year period, and that will be heard on the House floor today. House Bill 884, again, Representative Hughes. He's a great partner in this work, which is why we like partnering with him to author some of our bills. This is currently pending in Senate Finance. This bill would authorize public post-secondary management boards to enter into cost-sharing master agreements for consulting services and social services on behalf of their institutions. So it would allow public post-secondary management boards, it would give them the authority to enter in those master service agreements without requiring competitive bidding or competitive negotiation, as long as the contract amount per the participating member institution does not exceed the $75,000 threshold for consulting contracts and the $250,000 threshold for social services. And then lastly, for one of our new bills, HB 940, Representative Turner, this is about deferred maintenance. This actually made it out of House Ways and Means yesterday. This authorizes the issuance of bonds to finance deferred maintenance projects included in the college and university deferred maintenance and capital improvement program, which would allow the colleges to address major repair needs on their campuses with approval from the bond commission. So any questions on those 3 new priorities?
I have a question, but I will comment. So these 3 represent 3 of 4 autonomy bills that we are promoting on behalf of the management boards. It's going to be really important that we continue to have more autonomies for the management boards to manage, the campus leaders to lead. And we've been working lockstep with the system presidents. I see President Gallo in the back, who's been testifying, and I want you to know that if you go to the Capitol with President Gallo, it's like stepping out with the homecoming king. So we know who to send to the Capitol to help make the case for these bills. But again, really appreciate the strong partnership. All of the legislation we bring forward on behalf of higher ed, we bring as a consensus And so appreciate him and wanted to make sure you all knew that.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. And then as far as our other legislative priorities, they are moving through the process. For example, today in Senate Education, we meet at 1 o'clock, HB 551, which is one of our career and technical education bills, is going to be heard around that time. So it has been a very busy and fast-moving process. We also have HB 410 that's moving along, professional service contracts. Representative Brass, he has also been a great partner in this work. And last week, I got an opportunity to testify alongside Senator Barrow for our power-based violence bill that was heard in Senate Education last week, and it will be going to the Senate floor. There are quite a few bills that have passed through that are requiring Board of Regents involvement or implementation. Several of them have come from the Southern University system. HR 51 requests the Southern University System Board of Supervisors to work with the Board of Regents to take the steps necessary to look at the feasibility of establishing a medical school. And HR 52, also by Representative Jordan, request the Board of Supervisors at the Southern System to work with the Board of Regents to take the steps necessary to establish a school of pharmacy. So those are two new things impacting the Southern University system. HB 904 by Representative Sheridan Veer, that is requiring expenditure reporting on programs at public post-secondary education institutions involving diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. ESG reporting, I will say that we did have a conversation with the bill author, Representative Owen, who is also one of our good friends at the legislature, and he has agreed with respect to this topic on reporting environmental, social, and governance criteria. He will convert this into a study resolution, so the bill will no longer move in the process. In Senate Concurrent Resolution 23, Senator Barrow, another person we love working with, this requests the Department of Health to work with the Board of Regents and other entities to look at and study behavioral health, demand, and access. Moving on to another section, these are overall bills that impact higher education. Senate Bill 486 by Senator Seabaugh, this is regarding discrimination on college campuses. This prohibits the unlawful discrimination and unlawful classification on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, national origin on college campuses. Senate Bill 465 by Senator Talbot. This is a NIL bill, and this actually moved off of the Senate floor yesterday and will be going over to the House side. This makes some changes into the NIL laws, which after hearing some floor debate, this is contingent upon some current litigation pending in the Supreme Court or some other courts. And this is just kind of a fallback provision of if those cases pass and a affirmative ruling is made, that this just kind of is a, but-for provision. If something were able to happen, for example, colleges would be able to direct, in limited circumstances, directly pay their student athletes, and it also allows colleges to offer additional resources to those student athletes, such as like financial management and some other things that they could provide to those students. HB 908, Representative Amade, this is actually being heard in House Education today. This prohibits discrimination on the basis of vaccination status. HB 31 by Representative Freiberg, this is dealing with teachers' retirement, and it allows an optional retirement plan participant to transfer to the defined benefit plan in the teachers' retirement system of Louisiana. And then some other bills of interest that are new, and currently this one is being heard right now. Senate Bill 462 by Senator Hodges. This is regarding gubernatorial appointments. This bill says that the governor may elect to appoint the chairman or any other officer of each board and commission whose appointment is not otherwise provided for in the state constitution. And HB 800 by Representative Boyer. This is about the Constitutional Convention. Any questions? I know those were quite a few bills.
Thank you. This item was informational and no action is required.
That's correct.
Is there any other business to become before the committee?
No, sir.
Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Regent Sterling. Second? Any discussions, any questions? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent May. Next up is the Finance Committee. I'm going to ask Regent Meir to please call the Finance Committee to order.
Okay, I'd like to call the Finance Committee to order. Mr. Labrie, could you call the roll when you get settled?
All right, thank you, sir. Chair David, Vice Chair Meir,
Present.
Regent Creed,
Here.
Regent May,
Present.
Regent Seal. Here. Regent Temple, Supervisor Smith, Supervisor Warner,
Here.
Southern Representative, UL System Representative. You have a quorum.
Okay, great. We'll move to agenda item number 3, the appropriation bill update, and Matthew will let you guide us through this process.
Yes, sir. So yesterday morning, the House Appropriations Committee met to discuss House Bills 1 and House Bill 782. House Bill 1 is the general operating appropriations bill for fiscal year 25, and HB 782 is the supplemental appropriations bill for the current fiscal year. Both bills were amended in committee and passed out of committee. There were no fiscal adjustments for higher education in HB 1, but State General's Fund was spread to the institutions based on the preliminary allocations that this board approved in March. For House Bill 782, there were adjustments across all systems and Board of Regents. These adjustments included an increase of $21.3 million in State General Fund, $364 million in interagency transfers for LSU and Southern University lab schools, $19.3 million in self-generated revenue, which is tuition and fee authority based on projected increased enrollment. And this was $16.8 million throughout the LSU system and $2.5 million at the Southern University system. And finally, a $7.2 million increase in statutory dedications to increase the authority within the LCTCS Workforce Rapid Response Fund. Both of these bills, along with HB 2, will be heard and debated on the House floor tomorrow morning. Once these are passed, as usual, we'll provide an update to the board on these bills. That concludes my update on the appropriations bills.
Great. Are there any questions from any members of the board? Regents? Hearing none, we'll move on to other business.
All right, thank you. So in your packet, there is a letter we received from the UL system. This is in response to a letter that we submitted to them in late January. On another issue of fiscal health, so I know the board has been very interested in the fiscal health of our institutions. Currently, we do an annual fiscal health analysis to see what the health of the institutions are. And while that is a standard practice, we're also working with the system CFOs to better monitor the financial situations of the institution. So we've been meeting and we're working on sort of some enrollment projection models that will help have a good indication of revenue for the fall and spring, as well as working on some quarterly reporting that we'll receive. So we'll have a better idea of the financial state of the institutions. And finally, Dr. Reed and I went to joint budget Friday morning and testified about the roll-off of the half penny, which will occur next fiscal year, or July 1, 2026, and what those impacts will be for higher education and healthcare, as we are the two unprotected areas of the budget. So we had questions from the committee about what potential impacts could be and what's happened in the past. And so Dr. Reed did mention that we don't know what that number will be that the division and the governor's office presents next spring, but every $200 million that is decreased is about a 20% reduction to higher education institutions going forward. And so that is something that we'll be working with the systems for planning purposes, and we'll have that as a discussion item at the September budget hearings. And that concludes my other business for today.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Is there any other business to come before the committee? Can Sure.
Let me just mention one thing for the board and the public. So generally, we work diligently on one legislative session at a time. We are now working in 2 spaces because of the scheduled .45. Our understanding at this point, Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the .45 is about $600 million. I want you to understand the magnitude of that number. $600 million is also the amount of state general fund that our 2-year and 4-year institutions receive, total. So obviously, this is a significant challenge. It means that we will have to, once we land the planes on this session, give 1 year's notice to the systems and the campuses around the potential loss of $600 million next fiscal year. You remember that when, I want to say Speaker Barra, Commissioner of Administration Barra came to trusteeship conference, he said, I will present an executive budget on behalf of the governor without the .45. We are legally required to do that. So the below the line will be higher education at some significant level. And so I just want to make sure to flag that. This is, there are just so many factors that are coming into place. I know you all have seen some of the media coverage around the FAFSA delay and the uncertainty that's happening right now with federal financial aid, which will certainly impact enrollment. This impact potentially of the budget at some scale that will be significant. So we want to make sure that we're working diligently this session to get all that we can for our institutions, and that we're articulating as clearly as possible the value of our institutions and the value of education and training in our states. But I don't want to underemphasize the critical nature of where we're headed and where we are at this moment. This is a real challenge. I believe that people across the street understand that. That's why they asked us last Friday to talk about it. But we are facing some pretty significant decisions that will have to be made as we move this work forward. So I just want to make sure that we're continuing to keep our eye on that. We will work with obviously the system presidents and others about notification. So that means the September budget hearing this September will give you the first glimpse at what it could look like if we are facing this level of cut. But we're preparing for that out of necessity.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. So we're going to keep monitoring and obviously planning for our future in higher education. Thank you, Matthew. Is there a motion to adjourn this committee? A motion, second. Any questions on readiness? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. We move on to Chairman Solomon.
Thank you, Regent Muir. Next up is the Facility and Property Committee. I'm going to ask Regent May to please call this committee to order.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Facilities and Property Commission to order. Mr. Herring, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Chair May,
Present.
Vice Chair Wild, Regent Aubrey, Regent Levy, Regent Meir,
Present.
Regent Seal, Regent Temple, Supervisor Smith, Supervisor Werner,
Here.
Supervisor Tarver, UL System Representative. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item, number 3, consent agenda includes small capital and third-party projects.
Yes, sir.
Chris?
These are the consent agenda projects that have been approved since the last meeting of the Facilities Committee. There's 6 small capital projects and 2 third-party projects. These are just routine approvals. I'm reporting back to the board. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can't hear you.
Otherwise, we recommend approval of the
Chris,
consent
can't hear you.
agenda. This better?
A little louder.
This better?
Use your teacher voice.
Hey. So again, these are just routine approvals since we last met. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we recommend approval of the consent agenda.
Members, you heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
Second.
Any discussions, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Now on to item 4, third-party project at Louisiana Tech University.
Yes,
Chris?
sir. Again, this is a third-party project at Louisiana Tech to build a new parking structure. The reason this third-party project is included as a separate item and not under the consent agenda is that because they're issuing debt or debts associated with this project, so they require a formal board motion. This project, again, involves construction of a multi-level parking facility on Louisiana Tech's campus. The cost is estimated to be no more than $10 million, including the cost of issuance. The bonds are going to be issued by the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority. They're working with Innovative Student Facilities, Inc., which is the facilities corporation for Louisiana Tech, who will be responsible for design and construction of the facility. Tech will lease the site to the corporation, who will, again, complete and build the facility and lease back the site to Louisiana Tech until the debt service is satisfied. The debt service will be satisfied by a student assessed fee. The students passed the fee in April of 2023 when they surveyed students. Parking was top priority that came up on multiple surveys across the campus. They started collecting the fee in the fall of 23, so they have 2 semesters of collections thus far, and the more they're able to collect between now and the issuance of bonds, the less the bond issuance will have to be. Again, the goal is to have it complete by the fall of 2025, but interest rates are going to determine when this project actually gets off the ground. They were kind of sitting around to wait on rates to decrease a little bit, and that appears that may not be happening as quickly as I think folks have thought, but that's the parking project. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
On the interest rate issue, is there a need for the rate to decline before we can proceed? Is the collections that are already ongoing, is that going to help to offset some of that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions? Members, you heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Any discussion, any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Now on to item 5. The Act 959 project budget increase at Southern University A&M. Please proceed.
Yes, sir. So these projects were all approved by the board in late 2022. They were funded with higher education emergency relief dollars that were made available after COVID. As they move forward with these projects, they decided they were going to supplement the dollars with Title III funding that's made available strictly to historically black colleges and universities. And some of these projects, 2 of the 3 projects have bid and have come in over the estimated cost that was put together by the architects during the design process. These budget increases will allow them to award the bids on 2 of the 3 projects, and the 3rd project, the outdoor classroom bids, today actually on the 24th. The increases are kind of the result of Title III dollars requires folks to use or follow provisions of the Buy America, Build America Act. So complying with those provisions have increased the cost along with supply chain issues and just the escalating cost of construction that institutions are still feeling on their projects. I'm happy to answer any questions on these. Otherwise, we'd recommend approval of the increases here.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussions or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Chris, is there any other business before the
Yes,
board?
sir. I just wanted to highlight 2 pieces of legislation. The first one is House Bill 2, or the construction bill, State's Capital Outlay bill. That passed through House Ways and Means and Appropriations this week. It will be heard on the floor tomorrow afternoon as special order number 2. As it stands now, there are 92 appropriations in the bill, and 32 of those are for projects with new state dollars for fiscal year 25. Happy to answer any questions on House Bill 2. Otherwise, I was going to highlight House Bill 940, which Bree kind of took care of for me, but again, like she said, that one passed Ways and Means yesterday. We'll be up on the House floor next, so we're excited about the movement of that bill.
Very good. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. What was the latest on the Granville Library?
Okay. So the last conversation I had, which was not long after the prior month's board meeting, that the southwest and east sides of the facility were essentially complete. The north side, which is the glass side, and has been the biggest problem, is yet to be finished. They were working to get that completed, and the goal was to have it for the fall, especially by the end of the year, but they were aiming for the fall for completion.
What's the aim now for completion?
Last I was told, it was the fall.
Thank you, Regent Pryor. Any other questions? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I guess I'm the only committee
All right.
member.
Leave me hanging here.
I don't think
Any
they remember who's
discussions,
on the
any
committee.
questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent May. Next up is the Academic and Student Affairs Committee. I'll ask Regent Sterling to please call your committee to order.
Thank you, Chair Solomon. I'd like to call the Academic and Student Affairs Committee to order. Dr. Denley, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you very much. Regent Sterling.
Here.
Regent Creed.
Here.
Regent Aubrey. Regent Finley.
Here.
Regent Pryor.
Here.
Regent Williams-Brown.
Here.
Regent Gill.
Here.
LCTCS representative.
Here.
LSU representative.
Here.
Southern representative.
Here.
UL system representative. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda items. Tristan, please proceed.
Absolutely, thank you. So we have a very standard, there we go. I'm so sorry. There we go. We have a very standard consent agenda today, just a name change and a degree designation change, and so senior staff recommend the approval of those items on the consent agenda.
Thank you very much, Tristan. Are there any questions, committee members? Members, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Motion by Regent May, second by Regents Williams-Brown. Any questions, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Now we'll move on to item 4, academic programs. Dr. Denley has some exciting new proposed programs. So please proceed.
Thank you so much. Today I have 6 new degree programs to present, and as I'm doing that, I do want to make draw a stark contrast between the way that once upon a time degree programs would have been presented and the way that I'm proposing to present them today, and really over the last couple of meetings. Once upon a time, before you took the changes that you did around academic planning, degree programs kind of came in one by one, drip by drip, without any overall strategy, any overall way that we could shape the state's capacity. And you saw, as we looked at the Health Works Commission, how important it is that we produce that strategy in the way that we do. At the last meeting, you remember that we brought 2 associate's degrees in cardiovascular care, and we made the point that we need more capacity when it comes to cardiovascular care. Today, I'm going to bring you six new graduate programs, the majority of those in the areas of mental health. And again, the whole point and theme of today is twofold. On the one hand, when we think about our 60% goal, we don't talk so often about the mix of those 60%, but of course the reality is that we need those 60% to be at all kinds of different degree areas and also all kinds of different degree levels. When we look at the latest statistics that we have, the job postings here in Louisiana in 2023 about 16 or 17% of those job ads required a graduate degree. And currently across our state, only about 10% of people actually hold a graduate degree. And so as much as we need more people who have more credentials, we need more people who have more credentials at every level. And so consequently today, I'm bringing you 6 new master's degrees that are, or 6 new graduate degrees that are exactly intended to try to add the additional capacity that we need. I know I don't need to persuade you that we need additional capacity when it comes to mental health. I think this is a national need. It is certainly a statewide need. And so that coordination is behind what it is that I'm proposing to bring you today. So with that, what I'm going to do is to kind of try to tell the story a little bit rather than going alphabetically. I'm going to take the degrees together in pieces. The first 2 degrees are 2 master's degrees in the areas of mental health at Louisiana State University, Shreveport. So the first is a Master of Science in Applied Behavioral Analysis. And so this is to train people specifically to work largely with children, focus with children with an emphasis on those who have autism or on autism spectrum disorders, attention deficit disorder, those kinds of aspects of mental health. It is the case, especially in the north part of the state, that there is a very significant need and a shortfall for people with those skills. The second of the 2 programs is a master's degree in clinical rehabilitation counseling. And then this again is designed to prepare counselors to specialize in working with individuals with physical, developmental, cognitive, psychological, and neurological disabilities, and working with the way in which those people are treated as part of their rehabilitation. And so again, these are in many ways twin pillar programs of significant need in the mental health care space. Both are essentially unique across our state and will really provide very needed capacity both in the north part of the state and then of course across the state in general. The second pair of pillars I want to present are 2 master's degrees in social work, one at Northwestern State University and the other at Southeastern Louisiana University. Again, there is a very significant need for additional capacity in social work across the state. I actually just looked at the Lightcast data just before I came down here today, and currently for every we are only providing enough hires to hire 1 job in 2 of those that are posted across the state currently. And so clearly we are not meeting the need that we need to. These 2 masters in social work programs are important in the areas that they live in across the state, as well as, of course, the state as a whole. Largely speaking, the most capacity that we need is in the southeastern part of the state. And so, again, adding that additional capacity, especially at Southeastern, is really important. Also, these 2 programs have created an additional focus area that, again, are really complementary. The program in Northwestern will focus on social work in a trauma setting, and so working with families who are going through some significant trauma. The Southeastern program will work and focus on training social workers to work in a rural setting, and again, working with families and social work issues in a rural setting. So again, really important additions to our overall capacity across the state. The next program I want to present is a master's degree in interior design. So this will be a completely new program, unique to the state, unique to the region as a whole. I think the best way for me to get my head around this is not a master's degree in HGTV. Let me say that really clinically. Instead, this is a program that is specifically focused on training people to do interior design in a healthcare setting. So this is about training people with the skill to be able to create every space from an operating room to a clinical facility to, of course, the waiting rooms that we all wait in and wait patiently and somewhat perhaps, I don't know, I was there yesterday and the doctor said, "Why are you so worried?" And I said, well, "I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have anything to be worried about," and yet somehow I was worried. And so I know I don't need to persuade you how important it is that the design of those spaces is done in exactly the way that it needs to be. I really do actually love looking at these new kinds of degree programs that are coming through. You know, I'm a mathematician by trade, and we don't seem to be bringing many degrees in mathematics. Maybe that's okay, but so I learn a lot along the way. I never realized how crucial to patient outcome color theory is, to be able to make sure that doctors, as they are trying to do the treatment that they need to, the colors that are surrounding them enable their eyes to be able to see at critical moments in the care things that they otherwise wouldn't see, even if the color palette around them wasn't chosen carefully. So again, really important new program there at LSU. And then the last program is a doctoral degree in engineering technology management there at Louisiana Tech. This again is a first in our state. It is a professional doctor's degree in engineering. This is as distinct from a research doctoral degree. There across the country has been a recent development in doctoral training, a number of ways in which we create not research doctoral degrees that are created to train people who are researchers, but instead programs that are intended to train people with doctoral level training, but to be practitioners in the field. You're, I'm sure, familiar with a DNP kind of program in the nursing space. Some of you may be familiar with a PsyD kind of program in the psychology counseling space. This is exactly the parallel program in engineering to, in a very general sense, now train people with doctoral level skills to work across the engineering space, largely in management positions, to be able to do the kinds of things that we would like doctorally trained engineers to do in that management space. So those are the 6 programs that I would like to present today, and certainly we recommend approval of those programs, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have today.
Thank you, Dr. Tinley. Are there any questions? Members, senior staff recommends approval of these academic programs as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
So moved by Regent Arbery and second by Regent Creed. Is that accurate? Any discussion? Or
hitting the wrong button. Good morning, thanks.
Good morning.
I just have a comment. I am going to support the recommendation of the staff based on the University of Louisiana Systems Board review and recommendation. I am very concerned that as we talk about higher education and the potential for this cliff, that we do have duplicative within the same system, within the same MSA that we're adding, that we're saying that we'll have to add new faculty, particularly those programs in social work, where they're in the same system. There are programs that are 100% online. I really would like the Regent staff to really look at how we can encourage the institutions across the state to really do more collaboration. We cannot continue to grow the programs as we also going to have to right size, and it's no secret that Northwestern particularly was the first out the gate really looking at how they're going to have to right size due to the fiscal issues. And I get it. We all want our own programs. We all want to make sure that we can solely issue that degree. And I know that this is not something that, you know, probably been something ongoing. And I do serve on one of the corporate advisory boards for the College of Business. They're doing great work. This is nothing related to that. But I just really hope as regents that we try to bring these institutions together to make sure if we're approving new programs in this new normal that we expecting, you know, budget challenges, that we really emphasize and encourage those institutions to work together and how we can share resources rather than look at how we're going to be growing programs. But I do offer the motion to approve with the caveat, and I use this as an example. We allow Louisiana Tech to move and have a 4-year degree in nursing. I understand. I heard the report online, you know, 5,000 jobs still available in nursing. It makes sense. The data for social work with 2 programs, I'm just concerned about that one particularly. So, Dr. Denley, I just really, really hope that you share this to those chief academic officers as they're bringing these new programs at this time for Louisiana.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Regent Arbery. So you've heard our motion and our second, so we're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to our next item.
Yes, ma'am. So our last item is to make adjustments to the list of eligible programs for TOPS Tech. So actually, by statute, the Board of Regents is part of really a multi-representative group that on an annual basis upkeeps the programs that are eligible for the TOPS Tech Award. You can see here on the slide the different parties that are part of that annual review, just to make sure that in keeping with statute, the programs that are eligible for TOPS Tech support meet the eligibility requirements of making sure that they focus on training students to be work-ready in technical fields. So this group did in fact meet just a few weeks ago, and would like to bring forward some recommended additions to the existing list. And of course, many of these programs will be familiar to you. They are the programs that you have approved recently across the last year in technical programs. And so here are the AAS degrees that have been added since the last time we upkept that list. And you can see you may remember the WIN program and the cardiovascular programs that we approved just at the last meeting. Similarly, these are the new AA and AS degrees that have been approved since the last approval of that list. And again, you can see the degree in health studies and homeland security that we approved at our last meeting. As well as those AA and AS degrees, the committee really felt that it was worthy of adding the universal transfer pathways that we have created over the last year. It was already the case that on the TOPS Tech list, there were AA and AS degrees in these fields, in accounting and business and computer science and criminal justice and engineering and so on. And so in keeping with that, it just makes very good sense from their perspective to add the universal transfer pathways that we have created in each of those technically oriented fields. So with that, senior staff would recommend the approval of this revised list. As you can see, it would carry us through until 26-27. Subsequent to your approval, it will also be presented to the WIC, and also then for their approval before then being put into operation by LOFSA.
Thank you, Dr. Denley. Are there any questions from committee members? Members, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So move.
Second.
So moved by Regent Arbery, second by Regent Creed. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Dr. Denley, is there any other business?
There is not.
Hearing that there is no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I do have a question.
Yes.
It's probably for Dr. Craig, if she can come to the mic again. Sorry. And I apologize for being slow. I'm reading some of the materials on the nursing programs on the report you had.
Yes.
On top of page 25. With LSU Health in Shreveport. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay.
What page are you asking me to refer to?
Top of page 25.
Yes, sir.
And it's all the other programs listed have a partner near to their campus. And it says this partner for LSU Health Science in Shreveport is in Lafayette.
Correct, that's correct.
And it addresses the Lafayette region and the needs for Lafayette labor market, and that they will create a doctorate of physical therapy program in Lafayette. And then the only other program near to Shreveport is the Louisiana Tech, and that says they're partnering with Northeast Louisiana or something. So make it make sense on LSU Health Shreveport as a region with Lafayette.
Sure.
And what of the Hope Cares money was made for a program in the Shreveport area in nursing?
So we submitted an RFA out to every institution across the state, and they submitted the programs that they wanted to offer and create this public-private partnership. This was the proposal that LSU Health Science Shreveport submitted to work with creating this doctorate in physical therapy in Shreveport. I believe Shreveport already has a Doctor of Physical Therapy program in the Shreveport area. And so what they were doing at this point was to extend that program into the Lafayette area where there is no Doctor of Physical Therapy program, but it would still be under the auspices of the LSU Health Science Center in Shreveport. As for dollars, I can certainly pull the dollars for you. That information has already been presented to this board previously in the fall when you actually approved those programs. But I'll get you the exact dollars of the programs that were approved.
Thank you.
I do want to comment, this really does refer to what Regent Aubrey talked about, seeding a program out of an existing program rather than organically starting. So they have an existing program.
Correct.
And they're going to seed a program reasonably, outside of their region, but it really does reduce duplications because you're seeding it out of an established good program.
And it's also in an area where this program does not currently exist.
And it does not
So
exist
it does
today.
speak exactly to what Regent Aubrey was speaking
Yeah.
about. In addition to this, this is a public-private partnership. So yes, there are some dollars that were set up with this, but they have got matches coming from private entities to actually set up this program. So much of the dollars came from, I think it's Ochsner and Lafayette, to actually set up this particular program in the Lafayette region.
And if I could just add a comment to that, Ochsner Lafayette has been a tremendous partner with LSUE in our allied health and nursing programs. And so it's another opportunity for LSU to continue to work in the Lafayette community.
Thank you.
Yeah, they've been a great partner for us.
Great question, Regent. Any other questions? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
We had so moved by Regent Finley, second by Regent Creed. Any other discussions or questions? All those in favor, by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you, Regent Sterling. And next up is the Research and Sponsored Initiatives Committee. I'm going to ask Regent Finley to please call the committee to order.
I'd like to call the Research and Sponsored Initiatives Committee to order. Ms. Robertson, will you call the roll?
Certainly. Regent Finley?
Here.
Regent May?
Here.
Regent Cordell?
Here.
Regent Meir? Regent Pryor?
Here.
Regent Weil? You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next up is the Cybersecurity Education Management Council and Louisiana Cybersecurity Talent Initiative Fund. Ms. Robinson, will you please move forward with your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. The Cybersecurity Education Management Council was established in statute in 2020 to address the need for additional training and more capacity for workforce development in cybersecurity programs. The purpose of the council is to discuss ways in which higher education can provide the training that's necessary to get the workforce that we need in this sector. As part of that act in 2020, the legislature created the Cybersecurity Talent Initiative Fund, which was a fund established to accept donations as well as legislative appropriations to support the work of the Cybersecurity Education Management Council in developing degree and certificate programs offered by public post-secondary institutions across Louisiana. So the CEMC is charged to run competition, is charged to make recommendations to this board as to the spread of the dollars that are either allocated or donated through the fund.
$1 million since the inception of the CEMC and TIF. $1 million has been appropriated by the legislature annually, and we provide this money on a competitive basis through an RFA process. That is what we're bringing before you today. So we have received 16 applications from 15 public institutions. That means one institution submitted 2 applications. 12 of these were to support new projects, projects that have not previously been supported by CTIF dollars, and 4 were for sustained projects, projects that are asking for additional funding to continue the work that they were doing through CTIF funds previously. We got requests for almost $3 million. We have $1 million, as I said, appropriated. So we're talking about a 3-to-1 ratio in dollars requested to dollars available. These are the projects that were recommended after review by the Cybersecurity Education Management Council. They went through an extensive review process, including using a standardized scoring rubric, and then coming together to discuss the scores and discuss the projects in detail before they came up with funding recommendations. These are the funding recommendations before you. You will see that everything is recommended to be funded in full with the exception of Louisiana Tech's proposal, and the reason Louisiana Tech's was not recommended for funding in full is that they've received substantial dollars in each year of the program, and now it is time for Louisiana Tech to start, for their cybersecurity program to start standing on its own, so that program was recommended for reduced funding for a total of $1 million. And the senior staff recommends approving the recommendations as proposed by the CEMC.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. I'd also like to note that the Bossier Parish Community College request is in partnership with the Baton Rouge Community College, Grambling State University, LSU Shreveport, Southern University at New Orleans, and Nicholls State University. So it speaks to, again, what Regent Aubrey is talking about, partnerships.
Yep. We need to add more money to that one for all that collaboration. I like that one.
You like that one. Okay. Members, you've heard the recommendation of the senior staff. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Just wait on me. I move that we approve this item.
We have a motion by Regent Cordell. Is there
I'll
a
second.
It's been seconded by Regent Muir. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up is the 2023 Board of Regents Support Fund Award recommendation. Ms. Robinson, will you please proceed?
Absolutely. The Board of Regents Support Fund, the way I'm going to handle this item is, I'll do this very briefly. I'll provide an overview of the support fund because we deal with the support fund in detail about twice a year, so everyone needs a little refresher every now and then. And before I go through the details of the fiscal year 2024 competition and the results, I would note before I start, these are the support fund was established in the Constitution. It exists in the Constitution. We run off the proceeds of the Louisiana Education Quality Trust Fund that was established in 1986. And these funds, as we look into a future that is going to include a lot of cuts and restructuring in higher education, in previous cut cycles, these funds have been absolutely essential to our institutions in allowing them to stay the course on important initiatives and to keep pace with changes in technology, changes in content, in training for faculty and students. This is, in a sense, a discretionary pot of dollars that institutions can compete for and that really helps them maintain their capacity and competitiveness over the long term, even as we go through cycles of cuts. So, what is the support fund? As I said, it's established in the Constitution. We run off the proceeds of a trust fund that is managed by the Treasury and dedicated fully to education. However, the earnings to the trust fund are split. 25% go to fund growth, so they're retained by the Treasury. The remaining 75% is split in half between BESI for K-12 initiatives and the Board of Regents for the higher education sector. On the higher education side, we have two constitutionally mandated goals. They are to improve the quality of higher education in Louisiana and to enhance Louisiana's economic development. Those two goals in the Constitution are framed as equal. We are not charged to do one over the other. We're charged to do both. We can do this through 4 programs that are designated in the Constitution. These are the only areas in which we can spend dollars. Endowed chairs for eminent scholars, enhancement of academic, research, and agricultural departments and units. Note that that's very specific to agricultural research and academic units, so we don't do things like general student support, general campus initiatives, sports. We can do no sports. Everything has to be academic, research, and agricultural. We can do targeted research and development and recruitment of superior graduate students. How do we do this? We do this through 10 programs. So we run starting from the broadest base program, the program that allows the greatest flexibility in what activities can be undertaken and funded through it, through our enhancement program. We run 5 different funding initiatives: departmental enhancement, which is an opportunity for any department, any academic, research, or agricultural department at any institution, any public institution, plus any institution that's a member of LACU, to seek enhancing dollars. These can pay for equipment, supplies, curriculum enhancements. It can pay for training and retraining of faculty, training and retraining of students, student support initiatives that are specific to departments, and so on. This is a very broad-based program. We also provide support for the BoRSF Doctoral Support Initiative to support doctoral students completing their programs and planning to enter the professoriate. Endowed professorships, which provide support to our faculty. We have 3,500 endowed professorships for our faculty. Endowed workforce scholarships, which provide support for 2-year institutions operating workforce programs leading to 4- and 5-star jobs. And federal matching, which is matching dollars to big federal initiatives that are statewide in nature. Regent Aubrey, getting back to your collaboration message, we are the matching funds for big research and education awards that come through the feds. I didn't go through the other programs. My apologies. In our R&D program, this narrows the focus a little bit to campuses that are doing research and development, though it is not limited to Research 1 institutions or even primarily research institutions. It's open to any faculty on our campuses who are doing research. We keep it limited, though. Research competitiveness is research that leads to federal support. So we're looking to help our faculty become more competitive. We are funding industrial ties, so we're looking for those collaborations with the private sector. We're looking to fund proof of concept, so faculty who are entering the marketplace have an opportunity to prepare their innovations and inventions for the marketplace, and awards to Louisiana artists and scholars, which provides funding to arts, humanities, and social sciences projects, many of which are focused on Louisiana and Louisiana culture. The next narrowing of the focus is recruitment of superior graduate students, which we do through endowed graduate student scholarships. This allows our graduate programs to provide support to those students, both scholarship support and support for those students to seek professional experiential opportunities such as internships in the summers and during their graduate programs. And finally, we have our big Endowed Chairs for Eminent Scholars program, which is focused on recruiting and retaining game-changing faculty at the senior level, faculty who will bring in cohorts of additional faculty, faculty who will lead our big programs, lead us in new directions. And everything that we do across all of these 10 programs in every sector is aligned with campus role, scope, mission, and priorities. Everything leads to educational quality on our campuses, but also workforce development on our campuses. We're providing facilities, we're providing equipment, we're providing funding for students and for faculty to do all of the things we need to do to be a high-quality, cutting-edge higher education system for Louisiana. We do this through two types of awards. We do it through grants, and this is direct funding to the institution. The grants that you approve today, I hope, those checks will be cut before June 30th. They will go out to all of the campuses that secured those awards as direct support for educational and scholarly work. We also do endowment matching. These are matching funds to private dollars or other non-state dollars. They create permanent accounts. Those permanent accounts, much like our trust fund, generate income year over year. That income is used to support the purpose of the endowment. The endowment purpose is often defined by the non-state donor, but we have general policies at the Board of Regents level that make sure that we're hitting the requirements that the support fund has: academic quality and contributions to workforce development, to economic development, including workforce. We do all of this through a competitive process. So what we do in the support fund is a year-long process. In July, we'll be looking at this. As soon as we get these awards out the door, we will be turning around and looking at next year. In July, we release requests for proposals publicly. These are guidelines for submission of proposals. We also provide in those RFPs the criteria for review. Each program's a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a minute. We provide the criteria of review so that anyone applying to our program knows how their proposal will be assessed and how they will be scored. We also give them the scoring rubrics, the weights of each category that we'll ask our reviewers to look at. We have a long Q&A period that lasts well into October to allow anyone who wants to apply to our programs to ask any questions they have. We also do an annual webinar, general webinar, about the support fund writ large. We do campus and PI sessions upon request. We do extensive invitations to faculty to reach out to staff and ask questions that they have. And then we post absolutely every question we get online with the answer that we provided. So we try to make this an iterative process so that everyone understands what they need to do to win these monies. Then it's proposal submission time. That's in October and November. At that point, we are securing external reviewers. Every reviewer of these proposals comes from out of state and has no conflict of interest and has relevant expertise. We try to make sure that these panels are able to look holistically at classes of proposals so that we can get good results and good feedback. The consultant reports are released April 1st with an assessment of proposals and the funding recommendations. We publish those reports and then we bring materials to you for board action, all of the recommendations of the panels. And then we contract the successful panels and we debrief the unsuccessful projects. What debriefing means is no one submits a proposal to the support fund who doesn't get feedback. If a faculty member submits a proposal to us, if an endowment is submitted to us for consideration, the reviewer feedback is provided to every applicant. That is very important to ensuring that applicants know how their proposal was viewed and that the applicants know how they can reframe, revise, or restructure their proposal in a future competition to possibly be successful. These are, as I said, most of these awards are competitive. We have one program that's endowed professorships, which encompasses endowed first-generation scholarships. With the exception of that program, everything that we do is competitive. Everything is competitively scored. The criteria and scoring, as I said, are published in the RFP, so we are completely transparent about how proposals are viewed and how are they assessed. We look at we ask for several general measures to be considered, but everything's going to be tailored to the purpose of the program under consideration. We look at project quality, so how good is the project? But project quality is really encapsulated in two things. Need, how much is this needed? How much will this enhance the capacity and capabilities of the department, the institution, the faculty member, the student? whatever is sought to be enhanced. And what's the impact? We're not looking for monetary return on investment. We're not looking for dollar for dollar. What we're looking for is how many students will be impacted, how many faculty will use the piece of equipment that we're purchasing, how will this allow us to compete successfully in the federal space, how will this allow us to build better relationships with our business and industry, how will this allow us to get more of our students trained and into those 4- and 5-star jobs, how will this help us address gaps in workforce. So we're looking for need and impact in these dollars. We want to make sure that we get highest and best use out of these dollars. That also means aligning with state and campus priorities. We ask every proposal to tell us how they're aligned with what their campus is prioritizing and what the state is looking to do. And reviewers will always look at potential for success. They're always going to say some things are higher risk than others. What's the risk to reward? If we put a big bet on a project and it fails, what does that mean? A lot of projects, failure in this context is not necessarily a bad thing. In a lot of research projects, failure tells you as much about what's next as success does, but the consultants are always going to weigh risk to reward. And finally, addressing program goals and requirements. If we say our program is to make you competitive for federal dollars and the proposal doesn't tell us how this money will help you reach that, then it's going to be less competitive than a proposal that does. Every program defines the weights individually based on its priorities, but we are transparent about exactly how that plays out, and we require the external evaluators to use the published criteria. We send them rating forms, and they fill out the rating forms, and that's how we ensure that they're aligning with what we're looking for as funding programs. Non-competitive awards, very different. Endowed professorships and endowed first-generation undergraduate scholarships. We run on a funding guarantee. Each campus that's eligible, there are 42 of them, is guaranteed a specified number of matches per year. That's 2 matches per year. What they have to do to secure the match, they have to have the private contribution on hand. So they have to submit affidavits and assurances that the non-state match is eligible, that it's on deposit, and that they'll follow the program guidelines, and the donors understand what the program guidelines require and what the board is required to match. We have the same constitutionally mandated standards, though. Everything that we do has to fit in the constitutional language of the support fund. And I will mention, how do we determine when we get more than 2 from any given campus? How do we determine what we're recommending to you for funding? The campuses submit in rank order, and we fund in their rank order. The staff and the support fund writ large, we don't say what they fund, they tell us. So with that, are there any questions about the general structure of the support fund? All right. If there are no questions, I'll move on to fiscal year 24 and what our competitions look like this year. It is an unfortunate truth of the support fund that we can always fund only a very small number of the quality proposals that we receive. One of the comments we get from reviewers every single year is, well, we get 2. A, this is a program that is unique to Louisiana, and they all commend Louisiana for having a program like this, and they all want one. And B, they all lament that they don't have more money to spend on these incredibly high-quality projects. So just because we have to draw a funding line doesn't mean that there are things, that everything below the funding line is not worthy. A lot of stuff below the funding line is absolutely worthy. So this year we received 411 proposals from 35 campuses requesting $40 million. We have $20 million budgeted in the support fund, but a lot of that money is budgeted for multi-year projects, and so it already leaves our budget before we run this competition. So in terms of first-year funding received, we got a request. We got requests for $40 million, $39 million. We can spend about 10.5 on competitive programs in new monies. Now, these are first-year monies only. Some of these are going to be multi-year projects that receive money over time. and become part of that prior commitment in the budget. You can see the totals across the programs, but it means, if you looked at your board materials, the very last paragraph in the staff summary for this item is an analysis of success rates in the programs. And the success rates vary pretty widely from 18 to 20% to, in one program that's very, very small and very limited, 100%. But the success rates tend to be fairly low in the competitive programs. So what that looks like in terms of what we got versus what we funded, or what is recommended for funding, 10.45 million recommended is a 27% success rate on the dollars. 127 projects, the reason that that's a 31% success rate, slightly higher, is that some of these projects were cut. The dollars requested were reduced. And 23 campuses, which is 2/3, were successful in securing some of what they requested in funding. That leaves 284 projects that we could not fund and 12 campuses that did not receive funding through the competitive programs. That's very different for the non-competitive programs for an obvious reason, which is every campus that submits and has certified applications will receive funding. So we received requests from 19 campuses. 100% of those will receive dollars. $1.98 million will be funded. That's 43%. 69 slots. The reason, again, those numbers are different is we have $20,000 slots and $40,000 slots. We have more $40,000 slots waiting for match than we had $20,000 slots waiting for match. That leaves 2.808 million remaining to be matched in 59 slots, but you'll note that those 59 slots are at only 2 campuses. And the vast majority of those 59 are at 1 campus. So in summary, this is what we are recommending for fiscal year 24 support fund funding. It's a total of 195 projects at $12.43 million with a couple of contingencies. Contingencies include, for the competitive programs, if we have funds that are refused. And the reason funds may be refused is, for example, a single investigator research project, that investigator took a job out of state and leaves, so cannot accept the award. Our funds cannot go with them. So if those funds are refused, we will move down in the rank order if there are any rank 1 proposals that are left unfunded. And for the full support fund budget, shortfalls are addressed by reducing all of the competitive programs on a pro rata basis. So what we would do, we would figure out how much we need to cut, and we'd figure out the percentage per program. It's important to note that our budget is $20 million. Our current revenue estimates are significantly lower than that at 16.15. And that revenue estimating will meet in May, so that will give us a new revenue estimate. But we have sufficient funds in unexpended prior year funds to fund everything today that you see before you. Even without the fourth quarter numbers, we currently have sufficient funds to do this. So we are recommending this level of funding in first year funds for 195 projects. And that is the senior staff recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Members, you've heard the recommendation of the senior staff. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
So moved by Regent May. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been second by Regent Cordell. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed say nay. Thank you. The motion passes. Next up is the Board of Regents Support Fund for statewide federal initiatives, Louisiana Biomedical Research Network. Ms. Robinson, will you proceed?
Yes, ma'am. So occasionally the support fund gets requests from institutions submitting proposals with a statewide reach to federal agencies. We get requests for match. A lot of the matching we do through the plan and budget, but we get certain requests for special match through the support fund, which we can accommodate through unexpended dollars from previous years. We received a request from the Louisiana Biomedical Research Network, which is housed at LSU, but it is a collaborative of 27 institutions, which is expanding in the next funding cycle to 30 institutions. What LBRN does is it raises our research competitiveness in the health fields and prepares essential workforce in those fields. And it does so across the state, in every region of the state. We have provided match to this program since 2015, and we fund the summer research program, which is an opportunity for faculty and students to build their research skills and to essentially do research internships throughout the summer. It supported participants from 28 institutions over the last 5-year cycle, and we are now entering the next renewal cycle. You'll see these are the campuses that that participate in LBRN. And the different categories of campus. Loyola will be added in the next funding cycle, and that will be it will continue to be a statewide, overarching, all-encompassing initiative. So our recommendation, the staff's recommendation, is that the board commit a cash match of $1.148 million for the next 5-year cycle of the award. If the award is not received, the funds would obviously not be provided. But we're pretty confident this is a wonderful program. It's so impactful, and we're pretty confident that the funds will be provided. And again, your theme is very well recognized that these kinds of collaborative efforts are absolutely critical to us going forward.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Members, you've heard the recommendation of the senior staff. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Second.
It's been moved by Regent Mears, second by Regent May. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Before I move on to other business, I just want to take a minute, Ms. Robinson, to thank you for the thoroughness of your presentation, obviously the hard work and the commitment that goes on by you and your team, and it's appreciated.
Thank you. And if I could just take a moment of personal privilege to thank the staff of the Support Fund. They are small, but they are mighty. I want to thank Christine Norton, Brian Jones, Chris Medier, and Jennifer Stevens for all of the incredible work that they put into this. That 3.5 people can do so much, even over a year's time, is incredible, and I'm grateful for them every day.
Thank you, and thank you to them as well. Members, is there any other business? Ms. Robinson, is there any other business to come before the committee? Any from the members? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Regent Mears. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Regent Cordell. Any other discussion? Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Right. Thank you, Regent Finley. And next up is the statewide programs committee. I'd like to ask Regent Pryor to please call this committee to order.
Okay. I'd like to call the statewide programs committee to order. Dr. Boutte, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Chair Pryor.
Here.
Vice Chair Creed.
Here.
Regent Cordell.
Present.
Regent Gill.
Here.
Regent Levy. And Regent Weil. You do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. First thing out of order, I want, before she leaves this meeting, I want to acknowledge Mary Werner. This is her final Board of Regents meeting, and she has to get over to the Capitol, I'm sure, for LSU Day. But I want to say what a pleasure it has been to serve with you on these years and debates and everything we've had all these years since, I guess I've been on since 2017. And just want to say thank you for your service, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I take, and
Please.
thank you very much. It's been a great honor. Thank you, Mr. Pryor. I really appreciate your recognition. I was called in by a chairman of the board at LSU to help negotiate a little misunderstanding that LSU was having with the commissioner and the board. And after that, then I was asked if I would mind being the LSU representative to the Board of Regents, which I was very happy to do. Obviously, I've been here since 2018, I think. No one else has come in to take my place. But it has been an absolute joy. I appreciate all the work that we've done together. I've gained an even broader knowledge of higher education in the state of Louisiana and appreciation for it. Y'all know I hail from Vernon Parish, and I'm very proud of that, so a strong connection to Northwestern, but made my home in Lake Charles for many years, so a very strong connection and love for McNeese, and of course my service to the LSU system. All the work that's done here, not just by the Regents, but especially by this staff, is incredible, and y'all have taught me a lot, and I've been happy to take a lot of this information back to LSU to help make our system stronger, more collaborative in the state. I think we've come a very long way, Commissioner, since I first arrived. And thank you very much, Chairman Pryor. I won't delay your business any longer. It's LSU Day at the Capitol today, so we have a lunch with a very special team that just brought home some new hardware, which will be talked about a little bit later. So thank you all very much, and wish you all the best in the ongoing work to support our students, our workforce development, and all of higher education in the state. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Our first action of this committee is item number 3, the consent agenda. Dr. Boutte, the floor is yours.
Thank you. If it pleases the chair and the board, will take the consent agenda items up in globo and then do one motion at the end. The first one, item A, is approval of COVID-19 as an objective circumstance. This is final rulemaking. You've already discussed this and approved it prior. This basically moves it from an objective circumstance, a subjective circumstance that comes to you, to an objective circumstance which is approved in-house. We do that when the circumstances become very clear and synonymous, and the documentation that the students have to have is the same. So this saves time for the students, and you've already blessed these circumstances. So this is approval of final rule. Okay. The next consent agenda item is approval of TOPS exceptions. These are the exceptions to the requirements to remain continuously enrolled to earn the required credit hours during the academic year. You're going to have a little bit of a difference in the recommendation at the end for one of these, and I'll explain that now. Under normal circumstances, when you graduate from college and you've earned your degree and you are a TOPS recipient, if you have semesters remaining of TOPS eligibility, you may use those semesters for graduate and professional studies. This generally occurs if you have a student that had a lot of dual enrollment hours coming in, or AP or IB. Those students could come in and have semesters left over. The requirement is that you enroll within 1 year of you graduating. You can sit out for 1 year after you've graduated, but you must, if you're going to use those semesters for graduate and professional school, you must enroll by the fall semester immediately following your 1 year anniversary of graduation from college. In one of the instances today, one out of all the other exceptions you're approving, we had a program of graduate studies, and it was a Doctor of Physical Therapy, that for the students that were enrolled in that program expecting to use their TOPS, they were assured that they would be able to enroll by that fall semester immediately following that 1 year anniversary. Through no fault to the student, the program did not receive all of its approval to be able to allow them to enroll by that deadline. Without this exception, those students' TOPS awards will be canceled, and they will owe the amount that would have been credited to them for TOPS. LOSFA staff identified one student that came forward and asked us about this. Otherwise, it would have been transparent to us. Our staff proactively called the program and said, where there's one, there could be others. Would you please let us know if you have other students that are TOPS recipients in these same circumstances? The program said there are other students, and we will provide you with a list. We have not received that list yet, so when you get to the recommendations at the end for this one exception out of the others, we are asking you to allow, if you approve these exceptions, including this case, we are allowing the board to give LOSFA the authority to approve the other students in that same situation when we get the list. What does that practically do? That allows that student not to have to wait for internal approval at LOSFA, approval by the advisory board, and approval by the Board of Regents, which could be 2 to 3 months, and meanwhile, that bill needs to be paid. So when you see the recommendations at the end, that is why you will have different wording. This is a rare occurrence, but we feel like if you approve this one, then the others would be approved under similar circumstances. So there are other exceptions that have also been reviewed by the advisory board and will be recommending approval, but there's just one special case. Were there questions about that? Okay. All right, then the third category of TOPS exceptions is the provision to allow a student to begin home study later than the conclusion of the 10th grade. The LOSFA Advisory Board has reviewed all of these exceptions, including the special case that I talked to you about. And this is why you're seeing that we're asking you to make a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including the authority to approve TOPS exceptions for students who were not able to begin their postgraduate studies on time due to the lack of candidacy status with the program until their deadline had passed. Those are the special circumstances. So what this does, as I've said, is when we get those other cases, should you approve this, this will allow us to go ahead and grant those students exceptions without bringing this back to the board again.
Okay. All right. Members, you've heard the recommendation from the LOSFA Advisory Board. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
The motion is by Mr. Gill.
Second.
Is there a second? By Mr. Creed. Any discussion or any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion passes. All right. Is there any other business to come before the committee?
No, sir.
I want to thank you for being proactive on behalf of the other students that did not come forth, because when you're 21, 22 years old, you really don't, it's all happening, and you may not know that you even have the power to ask for an exception, and you just kind of take stuff as it happens, and then you quit, and you go off and, you know, don't achieve your degree. So I appreciate what you guys did from our top down, our commissioner down, having the kids, the students at first on your, to help.
They are.
Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gill. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Ms. Cordell. And any discussion, any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion passes, and we are adjourned.
Excellent. Thank you, Regent Pryor. Next up is the Planning, Research, and Performance Committee. I'll ask Regent Williams-Brown to please call your committee to order.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Planning, Research, and Performance Committee to order. Dr. Craig, will you call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Regent Williams-Brown?
Here.
Regent Aubrey?
Here.
Regent Cordell?
Here.
Regent David?
Here.
Regent Levy? Regent Sterling? Here. Regent Gill?
Here.
Ma'am, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first item is item number 3, the consent agenda. Dr.
Yes,
Craig,
ma'am.
please proceed.
Yes, ma'am. We have 3 items for you on the consent agenda. Our first item that you will see here are 3 renewal applications for academic licensure. Alliant International University, which is in San Diego. There are 47 programs there, and they are accredited by the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. There are 2 students at that university. Rocky Vista University in Inglewood, California, offers 3 advanced degrees. 1 student in Louisiana is in their program. And then the Chicago School, it's based in New Orleans, Louisiana at Xavier. There are 77 students in that particular program. The second item on the consent agenda are our proprietary schools. We've got 3 initial license applications. Royal Angels Anointed Hands in Greensburg, Louisiana, for a certified nursing aid program. Persistent Medical Education Program in Breaux Bridge, which is a nursing aid program as well. And then Premier Diagnostic Institute in Metairie, which is for your cardiology sonography program. We have 1 change of ownership, phlebotomy training specialist program in Baton Rouge. And then there are 17 renewal applications from the Proprietary Schools Advisory Commission. All have gone through the Proprietary Schools Advisory Commission, and senior staff recommends approval of all items on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so offer that motion.
Regent Aubrey, do I have a second? Regent Sterling. Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Is there any other business to come before this committee?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Regent Gill, second. Regent Sterling. Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned.
Excellent. Thank you, Regent Williams-Brown. Members, we will now move on to our Board of Regents meeting. I'd like to call the April Board of Regents meeting to order. Members, please remember that we're being streamed live, so you'll need to turn your microphones on when you're recognized and speak closely and directly into the microphone so our viewing audience can hear you. Ms. Doreen, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Regent Aubrey?
Here.
Regent Cardell?
Here.
Regent Creed?
Here.
Regent David?
Here.
Regent Finley?
Here.
Regent Gill?
Here.
Regent Levy? Regent May?
Here.
Regent Meir?
Present.
Regent Pryor?
Here.
Regent Seal?
Here.
Regent Solomon?
Here.
Regent Sterling? Here. Regent Williams-Brown? Regent Tipple? Regent Weil? Regent Williams-Brown?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you, Doreen. Next up is public comments. Are there any public comments?
No, sir.
All right. Hearing none, I'll ask for public comments additionally later under other business. Members, you received a copy of the March 27, 2024 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion, please, to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Aubrey.
Second.
Regent Seal. Any discussion or any questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, saying nay. The motion passes. Moving on to chair's comments. Members, it's a busy month, April, at the Capitol for Higher Ed. This month, 4 of our college and university systems and the University of Louisiana at Lafayette have either already celebrated their day at the Capitol or will be doing so within the next week. During these days at the Capitol, each institution has the opportunity to highlight certain programs or share exciting updates within the systems and with lawmakers. Commissioner Reed has attended each and every one of those activities, I think, to speak with students and faculty and administrators, and she had the opportunity to address the ULL Day at the Capitol attendees on Acadiana Day as their keynote speaker. She provided a higher education briefing in that setting, and we loved seeing our institutions showcased the best of the best and being actively engaged in the work that's happening across the street at the Capitol. As Supervisor Warner said, and as signified by my purple tie today is LSU Day at the Capitol, and we've been invited to go attend, and we're looking forward to seeing the programs promoted and congratulating the national champion gymnastics team. Speaking of the best, we've been honored to have Regent Samuel Gill serving as our student member this year. Sam is going to be graduating from McNeese next month, so we wanted to make sure that he has, and Commissioner Reed has for him, his Regent's stole in hand to wear for his graduation, as well as a gift of appreciation for his time and service on this board. Regent Gill has been a valuable member of our board, always engaged, always asking questions. And Sam, after you're finished with this awesome prom photo that's going on over here, since this is your last board meeting with us, we want to ask you to hear from you today so you can share with us your plans for graduation and beyond and any additional reflections. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much, Chair Solomon. I'm going to start off by saying just thank you to all the Regent staff and the Board of Regents in general. It has been an immense pleasure to serve in this position and with all of you lovely individuals. Regents will certainly have a place in my heart for the rest of my life, and I will be calling, and I will be reading every article Chris sends me. He threatened me with more, and I'm kind of scared. I don't think I could handle any more of the Louisiana politics in my inbox. But just to talk about my journey, small town kid from Ville Platte, Louisiana, went to Sacred Heart of Ville Platte, go Trojans, always. And I went to McNeese, and it was just everything I wanted it to be in that moment. And I toured the campus. It wasn't on my radar. UL almost had me. And I'm walking around, and I see the oak trees. I shake hands with a friend of mine from school, and I knew that's where I wanted to be. Well, a hurricane also wanted to be in the Gulf and came and destroyed our campus. Not one, but two, and then a freeze, and then a flood. I think the Wizard of Oz is kin to lions and tigers and bears, oh my. And I decided to get involved, and I at one point thought, I was like, maybe I'll go to LSU, maybe I'll transfer. But because of my fraternity and my involvement in SGA, I stuck it out. And I would like to say now, and frankly, that me going to McNeese State University and participating in Louisiana higher education has been the best of my life so far. It has radically changed who I am, and I have seen what it's done to other people's lives through my work, through SGA, through Regents, and how immensely powerful education is for individuals who truly take stock in what it means to learn more, to do more, to see more, to observe different perspectives and respect them at the same time. It's just been truly incredible, and I really hope that for the future that our state continues that investment in our students. And it has just been so wonderful to be a part of the Board of Regents, to understand the background of what higher education is and how just impactful this board is on the lives of millions. I mean, for the last 50 years it has been, and I hope it goes 50 plus more. It has just been a wonderful opportunity for me. I'm the first full-serving member from my campus, and I'm glad to shed some light on little old McNeese, because big things are coming, but in all actuality, big things are coming for higher education in Louisiana as well. And I encourage our legislature to continue its investment in us. Don't forget about us, especially in this constitutional convention. Really that higher education in general is the way forward. And we as individuals, me as a student, and all the students I represent, understand that. And because of this position, I am primed to go to the University of Texas at Austin and make waves in Texas, because I think they need a little more Louisiana flair. I will be studying the Master of Public Affairs at the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs, and I will either, after that, pursue a Juris Doctorate or a PhD in higher education leadership and policy. I very much enjoy the work I do here, and I love all the background, so I definitely think I have a lot more education in me, but good thing I love going to school. So I would just like to thank Dr. Reed, Chair Solomon, all of the regents I've had the pleasure of interacting with, the Board of Regents staff again. It has truly been wonderful being, I guess, inducted and loved into the Regents family, and I know this is for life. So I'd like to say thank y'all, and it's been an absolute pleasure being here.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam, and congratulations, and best of luck in Austin and beyond. We hope to see you back here in Louisiana as soon as you're done. Members, moving on, following the letter we received from Governor Landry requesting a review of the national anthem policy, I just wanted to update you that I spoke with the chairs of each public post-secondary system. As you know, Board of Regents does not set athletic policy. The campuses and the systems do that. And as such, each chair of each system has said that they have or they will be undertaking a review as requested, and they'll take necessary actions as they do that review. So I just wanted to update you on that matter. As more information is provided to us, I'll update you further. And this concludes my remarks. I'd like to move on. Last month, you'll recall that Regent Seal asked to receive a presentation on the state of artificial intelligence as it relates to our colleges and universities. Since then, Tristan Denley has been named as a Louisiana representative on the SREB AI task force, and he and Regent Seal have attended an LSU-hosted symposium on the topic. Dr. Denley will provide today's Artificial Intelligence Initiatives update, our first, I'm sure, of many. Dr. Denley, please proceed.
Thank you so much. Yes, I just really wanted to briefly give you an update about where our campuses are when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence, and specifically generative artificial intelligence. I went out and asked all the 4 systems to give me a summary of what it is that's happening across their campuses, some of the highlights and some of the general pieces, and I've summarized those. Happy to go into more detail if you would like to do that. But first of all, when it comes to applications sort of outside the classroom, there are institutions that are beginning to use kind of chatbot technologies to be able to give student questions, student advice, customer service in general. That is a significant use. There are a variety of task forces that are underway to be able to look at, well, what are ways in which we might be able to use artificial intelligence as part of admissions, student retention, student success, certainly very welcome in all the focus that we have in student success too. Certainly, just like I think many of us, faculty members and administrators too, are starting to use these technologies as, you know, as part of the sort of the general use that we all do to create draft 0 of emails that need to be made or documents that need to be created, summarizing articles, creating literature reviews, those kinds of things. And of course, as you might imagine, a number of campuses have or are in the process of creating various different kinds of policies around the ethical use of artificial intelligence, plagiarism, academic dishonesty. Certainly all of those questions get a very different spin now that we have these new technologies. So all of that is certainly well underway across all four systems. When it comes to course-based applications, and then actually just before the meeting I was talking to Dr. Bach from LSU. I'm sure she won't mind me sharing. They gave a large survey to all of the faculty across LSU A&M, and what she told me before the meeting I think is pretty much what I saw as I was looking at the sharing across all of the systems, that there are faculty who are very much in favor of this new technology, and there are faculty who are much more skeptical about this kind of technology. And I think maybe I sort of share that sort of double-edged sword, that there are clearly really wonderful things that are opened by this technology. On the other hand, there are significant things to perhaps be skeptical or concerned about. And so we see that in the usage that we have already in computer science coursework, departments and courses that are introducing students to how to generate these kinds of large language models, how to use them, dovetail them, write applications that interface with them. All of those things are being taught as part of the technical education that our computer science students are learning across the state. Certainly, we're also seeing people outside computer science, and computer science too, being able to use these kinds of generative AI systems as a draft zero coding tool. Just like we are, I think many of us are getting quite familiar with saying, could you create what a document like this might look like in text? People are certainly starting to use those kinds of technologies when it comes to creating example code and example computer system technology. And then certainly there are faculty who are introducing this kind of instructional tool into their courses, writing intensive courses, ways in which these kinds of tools can be used as part of sort of brainstorming and creative processes, gradually growing use of that across all of our institutions. And then the last general use is sort of in the areas of pure research. And as you might imagine, people are beginning to use these kinds of technologies in a really remarkably wide understanding of research, everything from weather to health to agriculture and everything in between. And so that's a sort of general picture of the way that these technologies are being used across our classrooms and our institutions. As you might imagine, we also have other ways in which more broadly we are engaging with these technologies. It is the case that LSU, of course, as part of the SEC, is also a very active member of the Teaching with AI collaborative that is happening across all the SEC institutions. Provost Haggerty himself shares my fascination with these kinds of technologies, and I know has very much been a champion of that work on the LSU campus. And he also has been generous enough, as they have been involved in those kinds of opportunities across the SEC, to open those opportunities up to all of the schools across the state. And certainly we thank him very much for that and look forward to that happening more in the future. As Chair Solomon shared, Regent Seal and myself actually went to the BRO symposium that was just last week. It's an afternoon symposium put on by the Department of Journalism there on LSU's campus. They had several panels, several speakers. I think it was really a fascinating day. I think for me, one of the most fascinating things was they had the students who were actually involved, student interns who were involved in putting together all of the materials for this symposium, all of the social media, all of the agendas, all of those kinds of things. They actually broke those students into two groups. One group was not allowed to use any kind of AI as part of their work, and the other group was required only to use AI as part of their work. And they shared the mutual fascination with what the other group's experience was like, and as you might imagine, the upside and downside of those kinds of restrictions. So it was really, really fascinating. Similarly, a little later in the week, many of us were in Alexandria for the annual conference of Louisiana colleges and universities. Really want to thank all of those who were involved in putting that day together, a full day, again, of speeches, keynotes, and panels absolutely focused on this topic of AI. They had, as you can see, Ben Armstrong from MIT, who did the keynote, which was really fascinating. We had speakers from inside the state as well, and again, they had probably one of the best student panels that I think I've seen in a very long time. So again, huge thank you to all of the support for that. Again, really raising all kinds of things to think about. I don't know that I have heard in quite such detail discussions of exactly what learning is all about and what it means to be humans and what it means to be humans who are learning, raising all kinds of philosophical questions, but also very, very practical questions about, well, okay, so as we have these new kinds of technologies, what of what they open up has been available to us in some kind of a way for a long time. I mean, maybe as an example, it is not new to partner with someone else to try to help put your thoughts in words. It's just that up until now, that has not been quite so convenient. It's just simply going to Copilot and giving it some bullet points and saying, why don't you give me give me a few words on that. That's not the same. It's just the same way as, Uber in many ways democratizes the opportunity to have what once upon a time was a personal limousine. So in so many ways, these technologies create and make much more available things that we've had for a long time. But slowly, I think we are also starting to see that there are usages which we never would have even imagined before, and I think that's a very different kind of thing. On a more general, on a more national level, as the chair shared, I've been appointed to that commission at SREB, and I'm also involved with the American Council on Education on a similar kind of commission, really focusing on the use of artificial intelligence in education. And then we are also, as a member of the Complete College America family, involved in that council on the use of AI across higher education. So certainly there are many national bodies who are really taking a good hard look at, well, what is this new frontier? What are ways in which we can make sure that we use this change for the best good that it can possibly be? So, Mr. Chairman, happy to answer any questions that the regents may have.
Excellent, thank you. I'll call on maybe Regent Seal if you have any comments or questions, sir, to begin, and then we'll open up to the rest of the floor.
Sure would, thank you. First of all, to have Dr. Denley in charge of this is like the experience of accompanying the wizard on a tour of Oz. I think that's going to be a difference maker for all of us on our board, all of our learning on this board. In the experience of the Bro seminar at LSU, we on? There we go. One of the speakers made the comment that the effect of AI on the world we live in is going to be to triple the GDP of countries that utilize it. Now, the only thing that's happened since I've been alive that's had that kind of an impact has been the development of the personal computer and the Windows system in the late 80s, early 90s. But it did have that effect. But another speaker said, it's also going to triple the number of unemployed individuals. And that's because this technology has a capacity that when you can use it, you can do things, and the world's going to evolve into more and more tasks that require that knowledge. Not just the knowledge to design something, but the knowledge to use it on an everyday basis. And everyone who is passed over in the opportunity to gain that knowledge is going to become unemployed when that reaches their workplace. Both of those two ideas are staggering in their importance and staggering in the import for what the Board of Regents needs to do to look at this experience in all of higher education in the state. So I appreciate the effort and the concentration and the assignment of Dr. Denley to this task, Commissioner.
Thank you, Regent Seal. Members, any questions or any comments? Do we, Regent Seal, do you want to suggest how we approach this special committee?
I would suggest that that we form a special committee, that we ask Dr. Denley to be the lead staff of that committee, that you appoint the members of that committee, and that we calendar a report from that committee at every Regents meeting for the near future until we see how this goes.
Regent Seal, thank you. As we all listen to Dr. Denley's report and the comments made, we definitely see there's a profound and pervasive influence that AI is going to have on every aspect of our lives, specifically in higher education. So we appreciate the commissioner's efforts to keep us on the forefront of this, Dr. Denley being on the front line, and for this report. I agree the board would benefit from having a committee focused on this issue to keep us apprised, and I'll ask the commissioner and the staff to help us set up that committee for this purpose and advise us on the process to accomplish that following this meeting. Thank you. Thank you. Regents, at this time we'll have our momentum moment. Dr. William Wainwright is the president of Southeastern Louisiana University, and he's here to present this item today. We are delighted to have Dr. Wainwright with us, and we are looking forward to his presentation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chairman Solomon, Commissioner Reed, and our regents, thank you for this opportunity to share our momentum moment. I want to commend Dr. Denley for reaching out to us. We had been in communication about some of the work since this last year's Momentum Summit. I want to share with you all that I want to give full credit to Dr. John Crane, who was president before my tenure, and some of his work with the team as they were looking at anticipating the new normal as we emerged from the pandemic. As a part of that, they had embarked in a University Planning Council meeting, and then as a result of that meeting, the Strategic Enrollment Management Plan emerged. That plan has led to what we now see as 3 continuous semesters of enrollment increase. This is strategic enrollment management planning. It is comprehensive. And so in talking with Dr. Denley and looking at the work of the Momentum Summit, we identified opportunities through that planning process, through careful data analysis and intentionality, to build a robust plan. That plan, since our engagement at the Momentum Summit, has now led to what I see as a very exciting quality enhancement plan that we'll be going forth with as we anticipate our upcoming SAC-COC reaffirmation. And I'm going to let our team tell you about that and how the Momentum Summit brought us to this point. With me to my immediate left, I have Dr. Mary Ballard. She serves as our director of our Center for Faculty Excellence. She is also an assistant to our provost on student issues and a professor of counseling, and she does it all, and she does it all very well. So also to her left, I have Dr. Tina Golding, our provost. So I believe, Dr. Golding, will you lead off? Is that correct?
Sure, and thank you. It's great to be here this morning. Like Dr. Wainwright said, our campus was involved in April of 2022 with our University Planning Council and kind of looking at our Vision 2025 that had been set up. And as we started looking at Vision 2025 and our progress towards that, it all kind of focused on enrollment. So as Dr. Wainwright mentioned, the results of that planning council was the establishment of a strategic enrollment task force to kind of identify ways in which to move forward. Well, as the strategic enrollment management plan was created, the Momentum Summit kind of came at strategic moments within that process. Our first Momentum Summit was in February of 2023. That's while we were trying to finalize and polish the strategic enrollment management plan. So for us, the Momentum Summit kind of allowed us, it kind of gave us affirmation that where we were going did fit in with what was considered important, the ideas of student success, the retention of students, the recruitment of all different kind of students, and the different types of students. So it allowed us, kind of said, okay, you're on the right path, keep going. It gave us ideas for enhancing what we were doing, and also to kind of focus in on some of the areas that we needed to look at. And one of those areas, if we can switch, am I switching? Okay, there. As you know, the framework for Momentum had the threads. And the main thread that we kind of identified to kind of fit where we were was that pathways. And in looking at student success, one of the pathways we identified was our transfer student pathway. We'll be celebrating our 100-year centennial beginning in 24, 25. That's coming up. And as you know, Southeastern started as a community college. It started as a junior college. So we felt like identifying this population and kind of focusing on transfer students also kind of took us back to our roots. So I'm going to let Dr. Ballard, she chaired our QEP design team, which had faculty. It had our faculty senate president. It had our student government president on there. So we had representatives from all over campus to kind of help polish off this plan. The second momentum, which we just had in February, also we had a lot of LCTCS focus from that momentum. And so we were able, that also was really in line with where we were going with our transfer students, and also gave us some additional ideas. So Dr. Ballard?
Thank you, Dr. Golding, and thank you all for having us here today. This is so fun for me to talk about. So many times as the design chair for the QEP, we do a lot of the work and then we hand it off, and we don't get to do a lot of this sort of bragging, so I'm really excited to be doing that. As you can see from the timeline in front of you, we started this back in 2022, as Dr. Golding and Dr. Wainwright have already alluded to. Excuse me. Once our topic was selected last year, and we put that out for naming our entire university campus, they participated in a naming contest, and we named it, and it's moving forward. We then moved into what we hope this year will bring us, and that will be the piloting of some of the pieces and the parts that are going to be put into the proposed QEP. And from there, of course, we will have our site visit next year, where we hope we will get the green light from our site visitation team. So what are we doing? I think that is what I'm supposed to get into the weeds here with you and briefly tell you in about 2 minutes what the last 3-4 years have looked like for us. But we looked at the literature. We did a comprehensive deep dive into the literature review, into what our transfer students need in order to be successful. What do we know that's out there? What is research driven? What is proven to be effective? And from that, we were able to come up with our goals, our outcomes, and our strategies. Our goals are simple. We want to increase connection, we want to increase persistence, and we want to increase completion. Those are our 3 main goals. If we can do those 3 things, we can greatly assist the success of our transfer students. How are we going to do that? Once we had established that these were definitely the areas where we wanted to focus, once again, we turned to the literature and we said, how do we do that? You know, it's great to say that we want to do these things. How are we going to do that? And after months and months and months of, like I said, combing through the empirically based literature and looking at what was working in other places, these are the 4 strategies that we've come up with. These are the 4 strategies that we're going to be putting forward. These are the 4 strategies that we hope our SACS visitation team will say, yes, go forward, do it. Most exciting thing, I've put at the top, I think you can go back just one time. Most exciting thing at the top is our brand new proposed Transfer Student Success Center. This will be a comprehensive center that will be for our transfer students only. It will be a one-stop shop, a go-to place with a real human being that you can connect to, you can ask questions, and you can get the help and the services that you need. We're in the middle right now of doing a search for a director for this center, and we hope to have that person in place within a few weeks, and that's going to be very exciting because we can go ahead and start plugging in parts of the rest of the strategies. Second strategy, comprehensive proactive advising plan. If it's one thing the literature told us, you have got to meet these students even before they get to your campus and let them know what is going to transfer, how it's going to transfer, and how it's going to fall into their degree plan and get them to the point where they can complete. This is so important to our transfer students. So we are going to have a comprehensive, proactive, it's called intrusive advising, and we're going to plug that in and make sure that these students have that. Transfer-specific orientation program. One thing that we do not have is an orientation program that focuses exclusively on our transfer students, that provides our transfer students coming in with the additional information that they need. So many times our transfer students get to our campus and they're not first-time freshmen. So they've missed out on a lot of the opportunities and activities that we provide in that initial orientation. we're going to do something about that. We're going to have something very special for our transfer students. And this will all run through our new Transfer Student Success Center. And then finally, a comprehensive communication plan. What we learned by looking at other universities, by looking at the literature, transfer students want to be able to look at your university and know what's going to transfer and how quickly it's going to take them to graduate before they even maybe contact you. So we want to make sure we have a robust website with that kind of information. We want to have a chat bot that's there for them 24/7. And then once they make that contact with us, we're going to follow up with comprehensive communication plans involving emails that go out, that they're automated, they're regular, they're consistent, that high-touch kind of service that you have to have if you're going to reach and grab and keep the transfer students. So those are some of the things that we're excited about, and we hope we get the green light. What are our next steps? We're collecting baseline data now. We want to find out what our transfer students are experiencing now on our campus. We can talk about all these wonderful things and what the research says, but we have to know what our transfer students are currently experiencing to really tailor this to fit their needs. Comprehensive assessment plan, how we're going to measure the connectedness, how we're going to measure the persistence, how we're going to measure the completion, and also the hiring of the director I've mentioned. And last but not least, we really want to get these things in place so we can start piloting this program, open that transfer center, and have some real data for our SAC COC visitation team when they come next year. Thank you.
Thank you both, Dr. Golding and Dr. Ballard. I'll just close by saying, those who know me know I come from Louisiana's community and technical college system. I've come to really know and love our transfer students. We know that many of them are single parents. Many of them are military veterans who are re-engaging in higher education. Many of them begin in our rural communities and our community and technical college systems. And by the time they reach our universities, they have made firm decisions on their career paths. Many of them are working. Time is the enemy, and it's critically important that we as an institution are responsive to their needs. They also bring a richness, especially our transfer students who are non-traditional. When you look at coaching and mentoring that takes place in the classroom between our traditional freshman students. And so I'm really excited about this work and can't say enough about the work of our team to get us here. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Wainwright and Dr. Ballard, Dr. Golding. Any questions for the panelists? Yes, Regent Seal.
Not precisely a transfer question, but I understand Southeastern has had some tremendous success with recruiting students with a Latin American background to come to the university, Spanish-speaking students through the recruitment efforts of Dr. Baraya. Could you brief the board on that?
Absolutely. Dr. Baraya is a faculty member in our College of Business, and he and our Dean of the College of Business, Dr. Tere Lopez, have established a robust partnership with Panama and Central America. And so we have relationships with universities in Central America, and that's serving as an incredible recruitment opportunity, not only for students to come to Louisiana and to Hammond, but also for us to outreach through online learning and education to students at the universities. Particular areas of interest are College of Business, education, and again, Dr. Golding, if you would, I know you know a little more of the history of that relationship with Panama. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered it. We also, science and tech is also one of the areas, but we've had study abroad programs there for years, and some of our faculty have personal relationships. Dr. Baraya, we call him the Energizer Bunny. He is all over everywhere, has so many initiatives going on, and he has really been key to our Hispanic leadership program that we've developed. Last week we had an admitted event for our Hispanic students in the region, which was very well attended with their parents, grandparents, and others. So I think we're very excited, but he's amazing and continues to do great work with our Hispanic
I think it's
community.
more than 800 students on campus now from that program alone. Is that
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. But again, I do want to say the outreach to the rapidly growing Hispanic youth population in our region. We just reached out to the rural communities, especially we're seeing a lot of growth in Washington Parish. We're going to actually this Saturday have our Hispanic youth program where they're going to graduate. We've been preparing them for the transfer to college. So we'll be bringing in a new group of Hispanic youth out of high school to enroll in Southeastern this fall. Again, Dr. Baraya has done amazing work, and we credit him for that.
Thank you, Dr. Wainwright.
Thank you.
Any other questions, members?
Great continued work, great work.
Yeah, great work indeed.
Thank you.
Dr. Wainwright, I wonder, can you tell us a little bit about how you all are getting campus buy-in
Yes,
around this?
absolutely. So, full disclosure, prior to my becoming president at Southeastern, I was the chancellor at North Shore Technical Community College, which was the transferring institution to Southeastern. So I've had the opportunity over the last 10 years to work very closely with a lot of faculty, have actually hired a lot of Southeastern faculty to teach for North Shore Technical Community College. I think that's built some of the initial foundation for it, but as Dr. Ballard mentioned, through their engagement from the very beginning, our faculty have been very forthcoming in their genuine desire to serve more and more transfer students. And so we've got the buy-in and, again, the inclusivity. I'm also pleased to tell you that when you look at the structure of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, I met with them 3 weeks ago. One of their key items was outreach and expansion of the transfer student population as it approaches, as we approach inclusivity. So it's really, when you align a lot of the work to the mission and the goals, it's really helped us build that buy-in. So, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, we appreciate your presence today and all the work you're doing year-round on behalf of our students. So thank you
for
all.
your work and leadership as well. Thank you.
Dude. All right, moving on, we're going to vote on all the committee reports and recommendations together. However, if any board member wants to take up any of these committee reports separately, just let me know and we can consider them individually. Is there anyone that wants to do that, or are we good to do this in globo? All right. Hearing none, do I have a motion, please, to approve all committee recommendations from today's committee meetings in globo? Regent.
Second.
Thank you. We've got everywhere. Did you catch who it was? Okay, great. Are we good?
Oh, yeah.
Any discussion or any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, saying nay. And the motion does pass. All right, Dr. Reed, you are up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. As has been mentioned, this team has been very engaged at the Capitol, very proud of all of the work of our staff and the collective work of higher education across the state as we work to try to continue to provide persuasive justification for the value of talent development in Louisiana, the power of education, research, and training to move our state forward. So we will continue to be all hands on deck. We'll keep you posted as we continue to move this work forward. I'm excited to share a few highlights with you since our last meeting. First, the LumCon open house. I had a chance to go down the bayou to Cocodrie with Chris Yandel and his daughter, and this is the first open house that LumCon had since 2019 at the DeFelice Marine Center. So you had scientists and educators and children, families that were excited to learn more about the Coastal Marine Laboratory and the research vessels and all the work that's happening. So we had a great time. There were scavenger hunts and workshops and all kinds of activities for students. And as you know, LumCon has been doing some phenomenal work. The researchers are doing excellent work, and there have been some upgrades to internally to the facility that we were very happy to see and to be a part of. So thanks to our team for making that happen. A wonderful turnout. Speaking of our team, we are very proud that they remain award-winning experts in communication. So today is the Public Relations Association of Louisiana Red Stick Award competition, correct? So they gave us advanced knowledge that we submitted 7 items for consideration for awards, and all 7 won. So we have best publication, the master plan year 4, the branding guide, the best newsletter is the In the Know, the special event, best special event is the HBCU Day at the Capitol, best social media campaign is First Gen Week, and the best audio visual was the Run, Hide, Fight video, as well as Louisiana's Got Talent. And then, of course, our own Dr. Chris Yandel was named Communicator of the Year, or will be named today Communicator of the Year. so proud of this team. Congratulations to you. And then speaking of great, amazing talent who makes it happen each and every day, we want to show gratitude for the staff behind the scenes. So we're going to ask our chairman to go down while I recognize our administrative professionals on Administrative Professional Day. Ours are the best, the Magnificent Seven, a collective group of problem solvers who we depend on each and every day. So when your name is called, if you'll please come forward. Michelle Brandon. Thank you, Michelle. Ann Evans. Not here. Kara Landry. Y'all didn't let Ann come down to get her flowers? You made her keep working? Oh. Kim Langlois. Emily Sky K. Miss Sunshine, Carla Smith. And Dorothy Wagensback. Thanks to each and every one of you for all of your hard work and support and making sure we look good each and every day, and we could not do it without you. So very proud of each and every one of you. All right, group photo. Group photo, Mr. Chairman. Okay. He said no.
That's right. But then I had to figure out anymore. I knew I was going to be at this.
He did.
Oh, yeah. All right, so that concludes our report. Of course, you know, today is Administrative Professionals Day, but of course it's our board meeting. So next week, we're going to have breakfast with our administrative professionals. So we're looking forward to double celebration for them. So with that, Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. And great job to you and the staff for all your continued amazing and now award-winning work. Before we move on to other business, I wanted to share some comments of Regent Aubrey, who had to leave to catch a flight. He passed me a note and said he is sorry to leave early, but he wanted to extend his gratitude to Commissioner Reed, the staff, and all the fellow board members for the many calls and texts and expressions of sympathy on the passing of his mother. He said that the prayers and the words of encouragement really helped him and his family during this time, and he asked that we all keep him, his family, in our prayers, and lift it up. So our sympathies go out to the Aubrey family, and we're grateful to have him a part of this board, and we're glad to be there to support him in this time. Is there any other business to come before this board today? Yep. Members, well, we will see you again not until Wednesday, June 12th for our next board meeting. Doreen, were there any public comments? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn? Regent David and Regent Muir. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, saying nay. The motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.